A little bit with you from United Way's perspective, how we got to this Child Poverty Collaborative, and I'll share with you what we know so far in terms of the approach that we're trying to take, but we're very early in, so I want, I'd love your ideas and feedback on not only on the issue, but how we go about building our community's plan to tackle this issue. Because we're at the very early stages of that, and we want to go about this in a way that gets input, insight from all parts of our community. People who have been working on this issue for years, people who are living with this in poverty right now, and everybody who is concerned about this issue. So we want to go about doing this in a way that really gets broad-based input and buy-in. So I really want your thinking on how we can do that in a really thoughtful and robust way. Let me set the stage a little bit. I think this is a really exciting moment for our community. Exciting probably is not the right word, because the issue that I think was laid so bare in the state of Black Cincinnati last year around the fact that the inequity along racial lines, along class lines in our community has only gotten worse. I think served as a huge wake-up call. What I'm excited about is I think a lot of people are hearing that. Not just people that have been hearing that for years, but people from across our community are recognizing that this is the seminal challenge that our community is facing. And we have to figure this out together, because whatever we're doing, a lot of good efforts out there, it's not adding up to fundamentally change the trajectory of growing poverty in our community. So I think we have a really unique opportunity, a moment of opportunity where we have at least pretty broad-based, at least recognition that this is a problem. Why that is a problem, it's certainly not a wide sense of recognition. And what to do about it is equally as diverse. But we have an opportunity where a lot of people are recognizing that this is a huge, huge challenge. So let me step back a little bit from United Way's perspective, how we've thought about this issue, because in many ways, United Way is 101 years old now in our community, and in the past decade, we've been focused on 3 key areas: education, income, and health, which we believe are the building blocks of a strong community, a strong life, a strong community. And what that vision for our community looks like now is really captured in what we call the bold goals for our community. Back in 2010, 2011, came together with a bunch of different partner organizations and said, what do we want our community to look like in 2020, and let's set some big, audacious goals and hold ourselves accountable for making progress. 3 goals in education: kids ready for kindergarten, graduating high school, ready for their next step with some sort of post-secondary education and training; our labor force gainfully employed, and people with good health and access to care when they need it. There's specific goals around each of those. And since that time, we've been really focusing on how do we mobilize our community collectively to address them, not for United Way's goals, because nobody alone can achieve that level of change, but together, if we can row in the same direction, the thinking is we can make faster progress. So we're about midway point now in 2015, 2016, and while the good news is that all 6 of the actual goals are heading in the right direction, we're making progress on all. I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive on a couple in a minute. While we're making progress on all, not nearly at the pace of change that we need to be, too incremental, too isolated, not nearly at the pace that we need to be to achieve the goals by 2020, especially the ones that we care about at United Way the most, around early childhood, around employment, around self-sufficiency, and poverty, is the underlying challenge that's holding back progress for kids, having a good start, showing up ready to succeed when they get to school, graduating, ready for their next step, people with good health. The underlying challenge is poverty. So let me first share a little bit about why I have hope, why we have hope that we can make some progress in this area, because we have, as a community, made progress when we've come together and focused on big priorities. United Way a decade ago put a stake in the ground around the importance of early childhood, and that is even more so true now than ever before. That the theory, and now backed by a lot of research, both locally and nationally, is that if we can get the first couple of years right, the first 6 years, we can go a long way to closing the gaps that show up early, because the gaps show up very early, and the farther and farther behind a child starts, by the time they get to kindergarten, much more expensive it is, and much harder it is to close those gaps. And we believe that the more we can do to help kids, help parents in the first couple of years get a good start through strategies like Every Child Succeeds that provide support for moms in the first couple of years, provide a good start for her child. And 2 years of quality preschool, we know through all of our local research that it works, but it's far too insufficient. Even with $100 million, literally, of United Way investment over a decade, we've been able to make incremental progress. In Cincinnati Public Schools, the rate of kids showing up ready for kindergarten has gone up 30%. But we're still at a point where nearly half of the kids show up behind. And if they're behind, they're much less likely to be reading by 3rd grade. And if they're not reading by 3rd grade, 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. If they're a low-income child, up to 17 times more likely to drop out of high school. Because again, the brain develops early, and the gaps show up early. We wait a long time to close them. We invest, but we invest down the line in social welfare and criminal justice systems. And the good news, though, is that we know what works. We know the strategies that can make an impact. And we're at a critical point in our community where we can provide that for everybody, at least in Cincinnati Public or in the city of Cincinnati, if we can get the preschool promise done. We're at a point where through our community's generosity, we've demonstrated the case that this works. Quality preschool gets kids on the right track, and we know that those gains last. But private philanthropy alone can't cut, right? It's time for a public investment, and that public investment has huge returns for everybody. So I think we're at we can talk more about that obviously if you want, but we're at a unique moment where we can make a game-changing decision for our community, at least in the Cincinnati public school system, to provide that equal start, fair start for everybody. In the employment area, we've done a lot of work as well, because we know that, especially in the near term, tackling child poverty means helping parents get ahead, right? Kids can't bootstrap it themselves. Can't just go get a job. It's all about parents. It's all about mom in many cases. It's all about parents, helping parents get access to training and support to get good jobs, not just any job, but get good jobs. And we've done a lot of work as a community in this area around helping people not just get trained for any job, that's an important step, but really get connected with the kind of skills, advanced skills and training they need for a career in manufacturing and construction, in IT and healthcare, and industries that are growing, that have good jobs, that are going unavailable, that are going unfilled because of the lack of qualified workers. We've been able to demonstrate through a lot of work with a lot of partners that we can train people and help them get connected to good jobs in these industries. Over 10,000 that we've been able to since 2008 get connected to good jobs in these careers that have proven to show a much higher rate of getting jobs, keeping jobs, advancing in those jobs than traditional job training programs. But we know that the forces of the labor market are simply so much that it's insufficient. When even 10,000 people, we know that while the dynamic is, employment since the recession has gone up in our community significantly. We're basically back to pre-recession levels. Our employment rate, gainful employment rate that we use to measure, that captures everybody who's given up looking for work, that's not captured in the official unemployment rate, was 17% in some cases at the bottom of the recession. Right now we're basically at the goal, which was 90%. We're basically there. People are working, more and more people are working, which is a good thing for our community. But if you look at that chart, employment's gone up, and then at the same time, poverty rate and self-sufficiency rate has gone down and hasn't budged ever since, right? So that tells us people are working, but they're working poor. They're not making enough to make ends meet. And this is a central challenge that we have to figure out how to tackle, because it's not just about helping people get jobs. Jobs are a key strategy, but it's got to be about good jobs that pay and helping people get the skills and credentials that they need to be able to get those jobs. And we're struggling with with a labor market and economy, much like the rest of our country, that the middle is increasingly thinning out. I think of it like an hourglass economy, where we have, and many of the jobs we regained from the recession are lower skilled, lower wage jobs. We have a lot at the bottom, not many in the middle, and a lot at the top, right? And the rungs on the ladder, the skills that are required to get to a good job that can provide self-sufficiency is even more unattainable. Right? Something beyond high school is required, be it an apprenticeship program, an occupational degree, a 2-year degree. Something beyond high school is required for any kind of good job today, and for that level, a lot of people unfortunately are unable to get there. So we have a lot of really tough challenges, and I think we're at a place in our community, at least for United Way, and many, that we recognize that we got to start tackling the central core challenge around poverty, not indirectly, but directly. And I was just chatting with Cole. Cole has been at this with us for many years, and he was part of a task force we had a couple years ago at United Way that told us we should focus on poverty, right? And we're finally there. But what's different now, Cole, which I think is a unique opportunity, is that many, and I believe truly, in the business community, the faith community, certainly the nonprofit community, the philanthropic community, the political community, is recognizing together that this is the issue that we have to tackle. And that is manifested now in the Child Poverty Collaborative, which was formed at the end of last year. The mayor announced it at the State of the City, so it's seen as the mayor's task force, but it's much broader, and he'll even say that. It's much broader than him. It's really a community effort to come together to say, how do we, everything that we're doing, while we're making incremental progress, important progress in some areas, the core issue and the core challenge